I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Brazil's number one, Diogo Portela. Thanks for the time again, Diogo. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you for the opportunity once again, mate. I'm good. I'm feeling good. Yeah. Although a little bit scary over the weekend, but yeah, I managed to scrap through that one.
Yeah, let's just touch on that to begin with. We're talking still only a few days after you won through the Central and South America Qualifier to book that return to the PDC World Championship, coming through a playoff to win it. Have you recovered yet from what must have been a dramatic weekend?
It was dramatic from the moment I actually lost, isn't it? Because out of the whole 5 South America qualifiers I've played, this year was the year I felt most confident. I had been playing really well. I had been playing really steady darts, not like amazingly good, but very good, solid darts. I've won a few competitions in the UK before I went there, and I was feeling actually really, really good. I felt kind of untouchable, but when I got there, something happened and my game didn't show up. I was talking a little bit numbers. I was barely average 80. I don't know what happened. I was feeling good. I was throwing good darts. It's just not going in. But yeah, after winning the first day, even after a tough match in one of the rounds, I felt that no one would ever touch me again. I didn't want to get to that point, that 5-0 again. And it happens, and I end up losing the deciding leg. And from that moment, that scared me, because I never felt better. I never felt more confident before, and it still it wasn't under my control anymore. And that's the biggest problem, that from that moment I started shaking. I got really, really nervy. I had to lay down in my room because my pressure went down. And I never felt that before. I think that's because it wasn't under my control, isn't it? And at some point, at some stage, both finals, the both guys that I needed to win, they were losing 3-0 down. And I'm like, now it's just give me one more chance. And I don't know how I got that chance at the end. And as soon as I got that chance, I came back to normal, came back to reality. I was myself again, and I managed to win the final game. But yeah, it was for good 3-4 hours. It seemed that I was in another world, in a completely different world.
Well, we'll come back to the weekend just gone later, but we'll circle back to when we last spoke, and it was around this time last year, after you'd won in Costa Rica to get your spot at the World Championship again, where you lost out in a 5-setter to Alan Suter. How did you reflect on that game?
Yeah, I mean, the level of the Costa Rican players has certainly improved, even though it shouldn't scare me like it did. But yeah, last year I wasn't playing well. I wasn't confident. I had just come through a very, very tough patch of my life, my personal life. And I think I put a few things right this year. A lot of things that was bothering me, that was in my head, I managed to solve all the conflicts and everything I had. So it was a very, very productive year for me. And of course, going through a few winnings again in the local circuit here in the UK, it just gave the confidence I need back, and I think it was a very, very good year. I'm in a completely different spot that I was last year. I've got a very, very good team behind me. I think the best team I've ever had. And yeah, I don't know why it just didn't go my way last weekend, because I cannot explain what happened. Just saying, like, it's darts, I need to take on the chin and make sure it doesn't happen again. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, my situation from 12 months ago to this day is completely different. It went upside down. Well, it was upside down when I come back up this year. So I'm really confident. I'm really, really confident. The best I've ever been in my darts career, to be honest. So good things to come, I guess.
Glad to hear it. And I remember after you lost that game with Alan Suter at Ali Pali, you put the tweet out saying that you weren't sure if you were going to go and play in Q School at the start of this year. How late a decision was it to go and play Q School this year?
It was about 5 days before the registration, if I'm not wrong, or 3 days before the final date. I wasn't gonna go. I was sure about it. I needed a time off. I didn't want to spend money on it. I was really tight of money. I knew I still had the prize money for the World Championship to come up, but it was a very delicate moment for me and my wife financially, and a couple of friends, and to name them if I can, because they really, really helped me. Steve West and Martin Lukerman, they did whatever they could to actually put me in the Q School, including introduce me to my manager now, Steve Goddard. And before anything, he said, even if you don't sign a contract, I pay for your Q School, and when you get the prize money for the Worlds, you pay me back, And thank God everything went right. We signed the deal after that, and it was really kind of all of them, to be honest, and I'm really glad I did it, because at one point off my tour card, and that was the turning point for me. That was like, okay, I actually did a very good Q School. I didn't need to go to all 3 days in the first section of the Q School. After 2 days, I had already made points enough, so I gave the third day a rest, and that pushed me to the very last moment of the last day, and that gave me confidence to carry on. And not long after that, I won UK Open, one of the UK Open qualifiers, and then start playing motos again. And it was just like I was building up, every single win I had, I was adding up in the confidence pile, if I could say like that. Very good results in some of the WF events, a couple of semi-finals, a couple of very good wins in the WF circuit as well. So I was taking everything on board. I didn't put pressure on me. I was just like, my goal for this year was to bring back to my darts to the level they were once upon a time. Now it seems like history what I'm talking about, but I feel I'm nearly there. I'm not there yet, but I'm really, really close. And with the top up of my confidence that never been that good, I think I can reach an even higher level that I've ever played, to be honest. So yeah, it was a very late decision to go Q School, but thanks to these two friends and of course to my manager to be a really, really nice guy, we managed to go through this year and pick me up, put me back where I belong, to be honest.
Well, you mentioned the Riley's qualifiers as well. You spoke to our colleague Matthew Kiernan after winning that qualifier, and we could hear just how pleased you were. We should ask you, did you get to take the board home with you?
They actually could. They offered me the board. I asked them. They said, yes, you can take it. But at that point, I didn't have hands to do it. So I made a decision to leave at the venue, the board, because I wasn't driving. I didn't have a car, so I had to get like buses and tube and trains back home. And it would be really, really like difficult for me to carry everything, plus my stuff that I had brought to the venue for me for the whole day, So no, I didn't bring the board home, unfortunately.
That's fair enough. Well, away from Riley's, and you mentioned it as well, you've been playing quite a bit on the WDF circuit this year, making a few trips around Europe, Romania, Wales, Sweden, Belgium, to name a few. How have you found playing on that tour this year, and probably playing some events that you've never played in before?
I regret not doing before, because it does help you. It does give you match practice. Just it boosts your confidence. You can. I've never played as many darts as I've played this year, because I could do everything. I could do the Motors Challenge Tour, WDF, the ADC. I did every single thing I could do. And before, unfortunately, as soon as I start playing darts in the UK, I nearly got my tour card. So through the Q school, I managed to get in a few pro tours, and they used to have how do you call players that used to play the Players Championship. They couldn't play in the old video, now WDF circuit. So because of that, I couldn't do it for nearly 3 years. And after that was the pandemic, of course, so everything was shut down. But yeah, I regret not doing before. I really enjoyed. I made a lot of friends. I start enjoying the game again because it's completely different pressure. It's completely different atmosphere to play, even in a challenge tour, to be honest. Yeah, that helped me. That helped me a lot, you know. I'm not sure if I will be back in next year because there is still a few things that he actually, how can I say, because me qualifying for the Worlds, the PDC Worlds, doesn't let me play in the late side. And that is kind of a deciding point which tour I should take next year, because I gave myself everything to the WPF this year. You know, went weeks and weeks away, and even if I manage to get to the lakeside, I won't be able to play. You know, so that's a bit disappointing, but it is part of the life. I need to take that on board and move on. And because of that, I might not play next year again. You know. But I really, really enjoyed it. It did me really, really well. It was really, really good for me, for my personal life, for my darts life. And I regret not doing it before I actually went to the challenge tour and Q school and things like that.
Glad to hear it. Well, that brings us then on to the weekend just gone, that World Championship qualifier in Costa Rica. And we should start off by saying that there was a change in the format this year with the 2 events over 2 days rather than just the one event one day, and the best player over the 2 events winning that spot at Ali Pali. What did you think of the change before it got underway?
I think it's great. I think we should have even bigger in a few years. You know, I think the CDC taking over from last year, they managed to bring a lot into the game, a lot more than we could do, because it's not easy for me to deal with organizing everything from here and also playing darts and trying to help darts in Brazil as well. So I'm only one, and I can only be in one place at a time. And we needed some kind of help, and the CDC came on board, and they've been helping and getting sponsors and bringing great instructor. Like now we have the same instructor that the PDC have in terms of the boards and you know, the practice boards and the playing boards is just brilliant, you know, just because of the PDC managed to get some sponsors and build up new Okies for us, and that's great. And I think in a couple of years' time, we're going to have even more tournaments, you know, and start to expand even more the tour in South America, more than 2 tournaments. I think it can only be beneficial for the players in South America. It's going to be a lot more traveling for me. That's the downside, but I can't think, I can't be selfish. My goal here is to develop darts in Brazil and South America, and I see that is going to be the future. You know, that's going to be the future. We're going to have more and more tournaments coming up. Maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, but we will have a proper tour sooner or later in South America, and I think that's the way to go. If you want to qualify the best of the region, one tournament is not enough to tell you that who is the best one, you know. And I'm up for it. Let's see what the future brings.
Touching on the qualifier at the weekend, as we've said, you got off to a great start on the Saturday, winning that tournament. The second day, losing out 6-5 in the last 16, and at the end of it, you were tied on points at the top. Had to play that playoff, I think 3 or 4 hours after you'd lost in the last 16, but you get the 96 finish to win the playoff 6-4. What were the emotions like after coming through that day and at the end of it booking that spot at Ali Pali?
Oh, No, to be honest, I wasn't really emotional. No, I was just like, because I know I might sound arrogant here. I am the best at the moment in South America. They are improving quite a lot. They have improved a lot from last year to this year. We've seen a few players average up around 75 there. It was very good compared to last year, where most of my opponents had a 45, 50 average. So that shows how much they have been practicing, how much they are actually making the most of this opportunity. Yeah, I shouldn't have lost, I missed so many darts at double. A lot of my triples, a lot of my 60s was just in the wire, just like something that it seems that it didn't mean, it wasn't meant to be. But at the end, I managed to put it right. And it was a brilliant final for South America. I mean, Brazil and Argentina, not only in football, but also in darts. And, of course, Brazil winning. So that was really good. That was something that we actually need. It would be a lot. It wouldn't be as much fun or as much drama if I had just walk away with 2 titles on the day. I'm not sure if that would help the darts locally. I think it was good. People now believe they can beat me, and it will be even more interesting for next year. And that should raise even more the level there in South America. But I will be more prepared next year, I'm sure about it.
Definitely. Well, you mentioned it as well about working with the CDC, and we spoke about it this time last year, the plans in the pipeline to get a tour up and running in South America. And with anything, these things, they take time to get off the ground. But where are we at now with those plans?
Yeah, we have everything on paper. We want to put it together. We want to put it together with a few other America's competition, like America's Cup and Caribbean Cup. They usually happen like mid-year. So we might put extra weekend ahead of these 2 big tournaments, because on these big tournaments is where most of the countries play. You can have easily 12, 14 countries there with 12, 16 players from each country. So that will be a big one. If we can manage to put together a second weekend just before these 2 competitions start, so people can get a little bit ahead of their schedule and come to the qualifiers before the America's Cup and Caribbean Cup. Yeah, and then a second weekend, as we usually do, October time in Costa Rica. That will be great. That will give the players from Central and South America or Latin America another 2 chances, the taste of it, because I know most of the players, they save their money to play the Caribbean Cup, the American Cup. So once they are already there, why don't play the ADC World Championship qualifiers as well? I can only say this. I'm not sure if the planning will go ahead, but it's something that we have been looking very, very carefully to do.
Fingers crossed for that. And lastly, before we let you go, back to you, and it is 2 months until the World Championship. What do these next 2 months look like for you? Have you got many events planned to enter? Any plans as far as practice and how you're going to get yourself ready?
Yes, I do have a couple of events, WDF events that I had already booked beforehand. I do have, I think I've qualified. I think I've got points enough to play the World Masters, the WDF World Masters as well, at the beginning of December. And hopefully I'm getting another invitation to play Modus, and yeah, that's going to be it. That not much time for much more, to be honest. But yeah, two WDF events, the World Masters, and hopefully a weekend Modus that we'll do. And of course, I'll keep practicing 2-3 times a week here after work.
Excellent. Well, Diogo, always a pleasure to catch up with you. We appreciate the time, and congratulations again on winning through the qualifier at the weekend. And we wish you all the best for the next few months, getting ready for that return to Ali Pali in December.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate another opportunity.